Okay,
She'll bounce between
you got
Daniel
chapter
and
8?
I do.
She don't have a choice.
Go for it.
Go for it.
When they had finished eating and drinking, they wanted to retire, so they took the young man and brought him into the bedroom. Then Tobias remembered the words of Raphael, and he took the fish's liver and heart out of the bag where he had them, and put them on the embers of the incense. The odor of the fish so repelled the demon that he fled to the remotest parts of Egypt. But Raphael followed him, and at once bound him there hand and foot.
Now, let's remember why they were concerned about that demon. Because she had been married 7 times, and all 7 husbands died. And so now Tobias is going to marry her, and they got to find a way to protect him. So she, Tobias, when he goes in, remember they said take the heart, the liver, and the gall of the fish, and you'll need them. Well, he's now going to take and he's burning these, and he's making incense, you might say. Although I don't think it's going to smell as good as frankincense. But
according to this, it was rather repulsive.
yeah,
At least the devil found it repulsive.
and this thing that was
Demon.
this demon, when they got rid of the demon, guess where he went? Egypt. Because that was the land of, that time, of magic. The Egyptians, a lot of the stuff they were doing basically was magic. So that's why he went to Egypt, and probably was hoping to get a spot at the Saturday Night Laugh factory. Okay.
When the parents had gone out and shut the door of the room, Tobias got out of bed and said to Sarah, "Sister, get up and let us pray and implore our Lord that he grant us mercy and safety." So she got up, and they began to pray and implore that they might be kept safe. Tobias began by saying, "Blessed are you, O God of our ancestors, and blessed is your name in all generations forever. Let the heavens and the whole creation bless you forever. You made Adam, and for him you made his wife Eve as a helper and support. From the 2 of them the human race has sprung. You said, 'It is not good that the man should be alone. Let us make a helper for him like himself.' I now am taking this kinswoman of mine, not because of lust, but with sincerity. Grant that she and I may find mercy, and that we may grow old together." And they both said, "Amen, amen." Then they went to sleep for the night. But Raguel arose and called his servants to him, and they went and dug a grave. For he said, "It is possible that he will die, and we will become an object of ridicule and derision." When they had finished digging the grave, Raguel went into his house and called his wife, saying, "Send one of the maids and have her go in and see if he is alive. But if he is dead, let us bury him without anyone knowing it." So they sent the maid, lit a lamp, and opened the door, and she went in and found them sound asleep together. Then the maid came out and informed them that he was alive and that nothing was wrong. So they blessed the God of heaven, and Raguel said, "Blessed are you, O God, with every pure blessing. Let all your chosen ones bless you. Let them bless you forever. Blessed are you because you have made me glad. It has not turned out as I expected, but you have dealt with us according to your great mercy. Blessed are you because you had compassion on 2 only children. Be merciful to them, O Master, and keep them safe. Bring their lives to fulfillment in happiness and mercy." Then he ordered his servants to fill the grave before daybreak. After this he asked his wife to bake many loaves of bread, and he went out to their herd and brought 2 steers and 4 rams, and ordered them to be slaughtered. So they began to make preparations. Then he called for Tobias and swore on oath to him in these words, "You shall not leave here for 14 days, but shall stay here eating and drinking with me, and you shall cheer up my daughter who has been depressed. Take at once half of what I own and return in safety to your father. The other half will be yours when my wife and I die. Take courage, my child. I am your father, and Edna is your mother, and we belong to you as well as to your wife, now and forever. Take courage, my child." Then Tobias called Raphael and said to him, "Brother Azariah, take 4 servants and 2 camels with you, and travel to Rages. Go to the home of Gabael, give him the bond, get the money, and then bring him with you to the wedding celebration." Excuse me. "For you know that my father must be counting the days, and if I delay even 1 day, I will upset him very much. You are witness to the oath that Raguel has sworn, and I cannot violate this oath." So Raphael, with the 4 servants and 2 camels, went to Rages in Media and stayed with Gabael. Raphael gave him the bond and informed him that Tobit's son Tobias had married and was inviting him to the wedding celebration. So Gabael got up and counted out to him the money bags with their seals intact. Then they loaded them on the camels. In the morning they both got up early and went to the wedding celebration. When they came into Raguel's house, they found Tobias reclining at table. He sprang up and greeted Gabael, who wept and blessed him with the words, "Good and noble son of a father good and noble, upright and generous. May the Lord grant the blessing of heaven to you and your wife, and to your wife's father and mother. Blessed be God, for I see in Tobias the very image of my cousin Tobit."
Okay. A couple things when we were in chapter 8. Did you catch that they were talking about Adam and Eve, his wife to be his helper, and the parents of the human race?
Mhm.
That, there's that belief, God created those 2 people and there was nobody else. That was part of Judaic tradition. But we know from some of the Apocrypha and pseudepigrapha work, there were other people. That, Adam and Eve could not populate everybody. There were people in China. In fact, at this point, China was melting steel. I mean, that other great civilizations were developing. So, because they didn't have the internet, they were really just focused on
They didn't know.
where they were. I also found it interesting that the guy said, "Go fill the grave." We don't want him to think we thought he wasn't going to make it through the night. I thought,
Make a garden area there. Be
yeah, plant some flowers.
Vegetables or flowers.
Yeah, get that tombstone and put it in the garage. So, but it's interesting, in a story that doesn't always give a lot of detail. That's detail,
It is.
and there must be a reason. It's sort of like when we read the Gospel of Mark. It's a short gospel, and because it's a short gospel, we know that anything Mark says must be important because he doesn't say a lot. So one example I remember from seminary, the instructor said, when the storm came up and the disciples were on that ship and they were afraid, and somebody said, "Go down and get Jesus." And said they went down below, and Jesus was asleep, lying with his head on a pillow. Why it would, would an author who did not give you a lot of detail on stuff say Jesus was laying with his head on a pillow? Nobody knows. But trust me, we spent a lot of time in seminary trying to figure it out. and I still do. I kind of think, well, what's the significance of the pillow? What's the significance of filling the hole? It's polite, but Anyway, let's continue on. Now we are in chapter 10.
10, okay. Now, day by day, Tobit kept counting how many days Tobias would need for going and for returning. And when the days had passed and his son did not appear, he said, "Is it possible that he has been detained, or that Gabael has died and there is no one to give him the money?" And he began to worry. His wife Anna said, "My child has perished and is no longer among the living." And she began to weep and mourn for her son, saying, "Woe to me, my child, the light of my eyes, that I let you make the journey, that I let you make the journey." But Tobit kept saying to her, "Be quiet and stop worrying, my dear. He is all right. Probably something unexpected has happened there. The man who went with him is trustworthy and is one of our own kin. Do not grieve for him, my dear. He will soon be here."
Now, maybe Tobit was a little bit of a Baptist. Woman, don't complain about that. I'm telling you, they were okay. Go in the kitchen and make some shortcakes.
That was like that. I would take the dramatic end result and seeing the worst,
Yeah.
and then my husband would say, "Calm down."
And she's gonna answer him right now in their next sentence here, right?
Okay. So yeah, but I thought that sounds like me. Oh, it's over with. They're dead. I know.
But here, listen to how his wife responds.
Okay, well, where am I?
7, verse 7.
She answered him, "Be quiet yourself. Stop trying to deceive me. My child has perished."
So, he was a Baptist. His wife was an Episcopalian.
How funny. She would rush out every day and watch the road her son had taken and would heed no one. When the sun had set, she would go in and mourn and weep all night long, getting no sleep at all. Now, when the 14 days of the wedding celebration had ended, that Raguel had sworn to observe for his daughter, Tobias came to him and said, "Send me back, for I know that my father and mother do not believe that they will see me again. So I beg of you, Father, to let me go so that I may return to my own father. I have already explained to you how I left him." But Raguel said to Tobias, "Stay, my child, stay with me. I will send messengers to your father Tobit, and they will inform him about you." But he said, "No, I beg you to send me back to my father." So Raguel promptly gave Tobias his wife Sarah, as well as half of all his property, male and female slaves, oxen and sheep, donkeys and camels, clothing, money, and household goods. Then he saw them safely off. He embraced Tobias and said, "Farewell, my child, have a safe journey. The Lord of heaven prosper you and your wife Sarah, and may I see children of yours before I die." Then he kissed his daughter Sarah and said to her, "My daughter, honor your father-in-law and your mother-in-law, since from now on they are as much your parents as those who gave you birth. Go in peace, daughter, and may I hear a good report about you as long as I live." Then he bade them farewell and let them go. Then Edna said to Tobias, "My child and dear brother, the Lord of heaven bring you back safely, and may I live long enough to see children of you and of my daughter Sarah before I die. In the sight of the Lord I entrust my daughter to you. Do nothing to grieve her all the days of your life. Go in peace, my child. From now on I am your mother, and Sarah is your beloved wife. May we all prosper together all the days of our lives." Then she kissed them both and saw them safely off. Tobias parted from Raguel with happiness and joy, praising the Lord of heaven and earth, King over all, because he had made his journey a success. Finally, he blessed Raguel and his wife Edna and said, "I have been commanded by the Lord to honor you all the days of my life."
That's kind of the conversation all of us fathers with daughters have
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
marry and move away. Maybe a little more dramatic here.
This would be good to say at a wedding, you know. Does it go on?
Yes.
When they came near to Kasserin, which is opposite Nineveh, Raphael said, "You are aware of how we left your father. Let us run ahead with your wife and prepare the house while they are still on the way." As they went on together, Raphael said to him, "Have the gall ready," and the dog went along behind them. Meanwhile, Anna sat looking intently down the road by which her son would come. When she caught sight of him coming, she said to his father, "Look, your son is coming, and the man who went with him." Raphael said to Tobias before he had approached his father, "I know that his eyes will be opened. Smear the gall of the fish on his eyes. The medicine will make the white films shrink and peel off from his eyes, and your father will regain his sight and see the light." Then Anna ran up to her son and threw her arms around him, saying, "Now that I have seen you, my child, I am ready to die." And she wept. Then Tobit got up and came stumbling out through the courtyard door. Tobias went up to him with the gall of the fish in his hand, and holding him firmly, he blew into his eyes, saying, "Take courage, father." With this he applied the medicine on his eyes, and it made them smart. Next, with both his hands, he peeled off the white films from the corners of his eyes. Then Tobit saw his son, and threw his arms around him, and he wept, and said to him, "I see you, my son, the light of my eyes." Then he said, "Blessed be God, and blessed be his great name, and blessed be all his holy angels. May his holy name be blessed throughout all the ages. Though he afflicted me, he has had mercy upon me. Now I see my son Tobias." So Tobit went in rejoicing and praising God at the top of his voice. Tobias reported to his father that his journey had been successful, that he had brought the money, that he had married Raguel's daughter, Sarah, and that she was indeed on her way there, very near to the gate of Nineveh. Then Tobit, rejoicing and praising God, went out to meet his daughter-in-law at the gate of Nineveh. When the people of Nineveh saw him coming, walking along in full vigor and with no one leading him, they were amazed. Before them all, Tobit acknowledged that God had been merciful to him and had restored his sight. That when Tobit met Sarah, the wife of his son Tobias, he blessed her, saying, "Come in, my daughter, and welcome. Blessed be your God who has brought you to us, my daughter. Blessed be your father and your mother. Blessed be my son Tobias, and blessed be you, my daughter. Come in now to your home and welcome, with blessing and joy. Come in, my daughter." So on that day there was rejoicing among all the Jews who were in Nineveh. Ahikar and his nephew Nadab were also present to share Tobit's joy. With merriment they celebrated Tobias' wedding feast for 7 days, and many gifts were given to him.
Let's pause there for a minute. Anything jump out in that previous section?
I would think they would celebrate that the 7th or 8th husband didn't die. I would think that would be more of a celebration.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It
Well-
surprised me.
They had a little different form of cataract surgery in those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It may be, the eighth husband living. There may have been, the other ones died so that she was saved for
Maybe.
Tobias.
Maybe.
That, they, that's one way to say, God, he was God's chosen, because the other ones all died. But it's an interesting story. And they partied for 14 days at her home. Now another 7 days of partying. I hope the marriage lasts. It's a lot of money invested in food and music and photographers. But she was, Tobit accepted her wholeheartedly into the family. The one thing that stands out for me, it says it was a day of joy for all the Jews in Nineveh. not for anybody else. It's a day of joy for the Jews. I don't know why, again, why they would exclude others, because the Jews were taken to Nineveh in captivity. And it was a pretty rowdy city, apparently, because God was going to send Jonah up there to, give them the bad news. I just think it's a neat name, Nineveh.
Yeah.
But, the commentary doesn't define why, or explain why 7 of them died. But it does say Dad wasn't real sure that the 8th one wasn't going to die. I mean, he went out
there
he went out and dug a grave. And then when he was still alive, quick, fill that in. What the hell? You just had us dig it up.
So funny.
So, well, let's continue with chapter 12.
May I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
Sarah, was she a believer in the true God? Why would he say in verse 17, I guess, at the end of the verse, blessed be your God who has brought you to us? Why not just say, blessed be God?
It's a good question.
Why would he?
Praise be to your God who has brought you to us. Well,
They weren't Jews, so they.
yeah, they were family. Remember, Tobit said to Tobias, you need to marry somebody within the family. So he did, but I don't know why they would say, there's only one. Jews believe there's only one God.
Yeah.
It may be, now you gotta remember, the Jews had been taken into captivity, and they were setting up synagogues to worship God. And her synagogue, or what we now would call a synagogue, may not be quite the same as Tobit's synagogue.
Okay, yeah.
It's kind of like,
Well, those Episcopalians and those Lutherans.
yeah, I mean, you get married in the Lutheran church, we'd say, well, we're glad your God has sent you here. And of course, knowing in the Lutheran church, Martin Luther was God. And,
To some.
yeah.
Well, a couple of generations ago, a Lutheran marrying a Catholic or what, whatever, out of their faith.
Marrying a Catholic for
For
Protestants, 20 years ago was a no-no. I remember told the story, my grandmother, who wanted to know of the name of the girl I was dating. This is when I was in high school. And I said, it's Kathy. And she goes, is that Catherine? I said, yes. She goes, how does she spell it? I said, Kathryn. She goes, she's Catholic. Because that's the way the Catholics spell it. And I said,
that was a big deal.
Grandma, we're just dating. She said, well, you
Shut
need
that
to be
down.
careful. We would not want to see you marry a Catholic girl. Now, my grandmother was a staunch Methodist. But there was that at that time. I mean,
Back to Stan's point, even though they worship the same God, you don't do it quite right over your place.
yeah, they use incense. We don't. What do they think?
Yeah.
So, it's a regional thing, maybe, the way they would worship God. But if they're all Jewish, it's the same God. So you raise an interesting point. Why would the text say your God rather than saying our God? Praise to our God who brought you to us.
I think back to, wasn't it Rebecca who was getting married to Isaac?
Hmm.
You remember when she left her father's house, she took her her little
Idols,
idol
basically.
or something.
Yeah.
Icons or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
That pops up a lot there in that part of the Old Testament. Remember when they left Egypt? She packed the idol.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone. It's ivory, and I didn't want to throw it away. But that is interesting. That
Oh, it is.
even at this point in the history of the Hebrews, there was some identification that it's the same God, but we worship Him differently. It doesn't say that they had the rabbi come in to marry him. They just got married.
Sounds kind of like they got a blessing from the local priest or for local ministry.
Yeah.
Went on.
All right, let's continue on with 12.
When the wedding celebration was ended, Tobit called his son Tobias and said to him, "My child, see to paying the wages of the man who went with you and give him a bonus as well." He replied, "Father, how much shall I pay him? It would do no harm to give him half of the possessions brought back with me, for he has led me back to you safely. He cured my wife, he brought the money back with me, and he healed you. How much extra shall I give him as a bonus?" Tobit said, "He deserves, my child, to receive half of all that he brought back." So Tobias called him and said, "Take for your wages half of all that you brought back, and farewell." Then Raphael called the two of them privately and said to them, "Bless God and acknowledge him in the presence of all the living for the good things he has done for you. Bless and sing praise to his name. With fitting honor declare to all people the deeds of God. Do not be slow to acknowledge him. It is good to conceal the secret of a king, but to acknowledge and reveal the works of God." Sorry, allergies.
If we can find some gall or something, we'll blow some smoke in your face, clear you right up.
With fitting honor declare to all people the deeds of God. Do not be slow to acknowledge him. It is good to conceal the secret of a king, but to acknowledge and reveal the works of God, and with fitting honor to acknowledge him. Do good, and evil will not overtake you. Prayer with fasting is good, but better than both is almsgiving with righteousness. A little with righteousness is better than wealth with wrongdoing. It is better to give alms than to lay up gold. For almsgiving saves from death and purges away every sin. Those who give alms will enjoy a full life, but those who commit sin and do wrong are their own worst enemies. I will now declare the whole truth to you and will conceal nothing from you. Already I have declared it to you when I said, "It is good to conceal the secret of a king, but to reveal with due honor the works of God." So now when you and Sarah prayed, it was I who brought and read the record of your prayer before the glory of the Lord, and likewise whenever you would bury the dead. At that time when you did not hesitate to get up and leave your dinner to go and bury the dead, I was sent to you to test you. And at the same time God sent me to heal you and Sarah your daughter-in-law. I am Raphael, one of the 7 angels who stand ready and to enter before the glory of the Lord.
Okay, we got to stop there. Because Raphael has said, I'm one of the 7 angels who stand in attendance to the Lord. So, that I think that's more important than the almsgiving. But we've already done the Ever Member Canvas, so we won't talk about that. the commentary said when Raphael reveals his identity as one of the 7 angels who are in the presence, here you may want to say, well, who are the other 6? And I have them listed. Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Sariel, Raguel, Remiel. And it says the 7 names appear together in Enoch, the first Enoch, where they are called archangels. Raphael functions as the intercessor for praying mortals, as one who tests them. Raphael seeks to dispel fear of himself by ascribing all to God, whose messenger he has been. Said, I was seen by you all the days as neither eating nor drinking anything. You saw that I was eating, but you saw with your sight. I did not drink, acknowledging God. That as an angel, he's not eating and drinking. So, Raphael is saying, in effect, you may have thought you saw me eating, but I really wasn't. And then the 7 angels, Raphael appears in first Enoch, but Michael is found in Daniel. Gabriel is also found in Daniel. Uriel is in second Esdras. And Sarah, Raguel, and Remiel are just found in that first Enoch thing. But I don't know if I've ever heard all 7 names. I mean, we've all heard of Raphael, famous paintings of the angel Raphael. And, of course, we've heard of Michael. And I have heard of Uriel, but I don't know who the Sariel and Raguel and Remiel are, but they all end in El, so it's something of God, which I think is interesting. And so when people say, well, where do these names come from? The Apocrypha, first Esdras. And we talk about that as if it were canonical. It's not canonical. It's meant for our edification. It's in the Apocrypha. So that won't be on the test. Because
Good thing.
Remiel, Remiel, I always want to say remedial. Anyway, let's go on and find out what happens when verse 16.
Okay. The 2 of them were shaken, and they fell face down, for they were afraid. But he said to them, do not be afraid. Peace be with you. Bless God forevermore. As for me, when I was with you, I was not acting on my own will, but by the will of God. Bless him each and every day. Sing his praises. Although you were watching me, I really did not eat or drink anything, but what you saw was a vision. So now get up from the ground and acknowledge God. See, I am ascending to him who sent me. Write down all these things that have happened to you. And he ascended. Then they stood up and could see him no more. They kept blessing God and singing his praises, and they acknowledged God for these marvelous deeds of his, when an angel of God had appeared to them.
Okay, you wonder, why do we think heaven is up there? Raphael ascended. Jesus ascended. We kind of, we make that assumption. I don't believe that heaven is up there any more than I believe hell is down here. Heaven is being in the presence of God, whatever that means. Hell is not being in the presence of God, and that can happen anywhere. Maybe there's another dimension that we can't see. I would certainly hate to think that people who've passed over could look down on what we're doing. I hate my mom to see me doing some of the stuff. She'd still come at me with the fly swatter. But it's, it's stories like this and the story of the Ascension. That's how we start thinking that. And then not only do we think it, we believe it. And some of the people who believe in the literal translation are kind of stuck. Because rather than saying ascended, I think it would say he left them. But it says ascended. So anyway, the angel has done, he said, everything I did, don't thank me, thank God. And so I think that's, when we feed the hungry and things like that, people shouldn't thank the church that's handing out food. We should thank God. We don't do it for our own edification. We do it because God calls upon us to do that. And sometimes I think people mistaken that, that you should be, well, we recognize people who give money to the food bank. I had a bishop once who said, you can test your faith by putting an offering in the plate in cash.
Mhm.
Don't write a check. Because when you write a check, you want to deduct it from your taxes. You shouldn't be putting money in the plate.
Being acknowledged for it.
Yeah, to reduce your tax. Just give the money and don't expect praise for it. I always have a great deal of respect for people who will donate to a charity or something and they say, I don't want my name publicized. I want to do that. You publicize my name, no more donations for you. A good friend of mine back in Michigan, who was a wealthy guy, he was giving money to a Catholic mission. And the first Christmas after he had given him a rather large check, he got a big poinsettia delivered to his office. And David talked to the priest. He said, you send this poinsettia? I said, yeah, we want to thank you for your generosity. He said, if you spend money again to send me a plant, I will stop giving you money. Every penny I give you is to help. It's not, I can afford to buy my own damn poinsettia. And he said, the priest took me off the poinsettia list. So, and I give David a lot of credit for that. That you don't want to be recognized for that. It's almost 11. I was hoping we'd get through 13 and 14.
You talked about putting money in the plate.
Mhm.
I've never seen anyone put their debit card in with the PIN number on.
The first church I was an assistant at, somebody anonymously put a scratch off or a 3-number lottery ticket, and we don't know who was doing it, but they did it every week for I don't know how long. And Dave Evans, who was the director, he used to buy a lottery ticket himself. And we were having coffee one day, and Dave said to me, I don't know what I would do if that church lottery ticket hit. Would I swap mine for that one?
Whose ticket was that?
Yeah. But whoever was putting it in would say, if these numbers match, let the church keep the cash.
Oh, that's
And that's back when you could get when the lottery first started, you get a 3-number, guess 3 numbers for 50 cents. So it was not a big deal. But As far as I know, they never hit. But it's,
I wonder whatever happened to, remember the lady that come in wanting money
Yeah,
from
I
us?
got dozens of them. I got dozens of them.
Wonder whatever happened to her.
I don't know. All right, we'll pick up with chapters 13 and 14, and then we're going to go. Have a good week.
Thank you, thank you.
Today's the last lunch